The email arrived at 3 in the morning, Tokyo time. I was sitting in a hotel room near Roppongi, reviewing spreadsheets from the Osaka property inspection, when my phone lit up with a message from my real estate attorney. The subject line was simple: urgent Maple Street transaction. I opened it. The body was a forwarded chain, and at the bottom was a purchase agreement for my old house on Maple Street. The house where I'd raised my daughter. The house I'd restored myself over 5 summers, replacing every window and refinishing the oak floors on my knees. The sale price was $240,000. The closing date was set for next Friday. The seller's signature belonged to my daughter, Rebecca. I had given her no such authority. I set the phone down and looked out at the Tokyo skyline. My coffee had gone cold. My daughter had just sold a house that no longer belonged to me in the way she thought it did, and I wondered how long it would take for everyone involved to realize the problem. I am 47 years old. I own a dozen residential properties across 3 states and hold them through a limited liability company I established 6 years ago for tax efficiency and liability protection. The Maple Street house had been transferred into that structure in 2019, along with the others. Rebecca knew I owned properties. She did not know the precise architecture of how I owned them because she had never asked, and I had never felt the need to explain corporate formalities to someone who showed little interest in the mechanics of wealth building. She was 26. She had graduated with a degree in communications and worked sporadically in social media management for local businesses. She lived in an apartment I did not own, paid for with money she earned herself, and I respected that. I had raised her to be independent. What I had not anticipated was that independence would manifest as presumption. I got up and made fresh coffee in the small machine provided by the hotel. The room was clean and narrow. I had been in Japan for 3 weeks, overseeing the acquisition of a small apartment complex through a local partner. The deal was nearly complete. I'd planned to return home in another week. That timeline would need to change. I opened my laptop and accessed the county property records. Maple Street came up immediately. The owner of record was listed as Whitman Holdings, LLC. I was the sole managing member. Rebecca's name appeared nowhere on the deed, the title, or any ancillary documents. I checked the corporate filings. Everything was current. The registered agent was my attorney, the same man who had forwarded the email. I called him. It was past business hours in Virginia, but he answered on the second ring. "I saw the email," I said. "I thought you might be awake," he replied. His name was Paul Hendricks, and we had worked together for 12 years. His voice was steady. "Do you want the short version or the long version?" "Short first. Your daughter forged documents claiming ownership and entered into a purchase agreement with a couple named the Johnsons. They're first-time buyers. They've already secured financing. The title company is processing the paperwork now. I found out because the title search flagged an inconsistency, and they contacted me as the registered agent for Whitman Holdings. I called your daughter. She told me you gave her verbal permission to handle the sale while you were overseas." "I gave her no such permission." "I assumed as much. What happens now?" "The sale is void. She has no legal standing to sell property she doesn't own, but the Johnsons don't know that yet. Neither does their lender. The title company is trying to sort it out quietly before it becomes a legal mess. They're waiting to hear from you." I poured the coffee and sat back down. "I'll handle it. When are you coming back?" "Soon." I ended the call and stared at the screen. The photo on the listing showed the front porch I had rebuilt in 2015. The listing agent was someone I didn't recognize. The description called the house a charming starter home with original hardwood floors and modern updates. It did not mention that those updates had been paid for with my money and installed with my hands. Rebecca had listed it as if it were hers. I closed the laptop and looked at the clock. I could be on a plane in 6 hours. I began packing. I landed at Dulles on a Tuesday afternoon. The flight had been long, and I was running on 4 hours of sleep, but my mind was clear. I did not go home. I drove directly to Paul's office in Alexandria. He met me in the conference room with a folder of documents. The purchase agreement was on top. Rebecca's signature was neat and confident. Below it, the buyers had signed in blue ink, their hands less steady. I could see hope in those signatures. They thought they were buying a home. "How much damage has been done?" I asked. Financially, none yet. The earnest money is in escrow. The title company froze everything when I raised the ownership issue. The Johnsons are confused but cooperative. Their agent is panicking. Your daughter is angry. Angry. She called me twice yesterday. She believes you're sabotaging her attempt to help you. She says you're being unreasonable. I set the papers down. What did you tell her? That I represent Whitman Holdings, not her, and that the property is not hers to sell. She hung up on me. I nodded. Where is she now? Home, I assume. She hasn't tried to contact you directly? She hasn't. Paul leaned back in his chair. He was older than me, gray at the temples, and he had seen enough family disputes to remain clinical. You'll need to decide how you want to proceed. You can kill the sale and walk away. You can pursue legal action for fraud, or you can handle this privately and set boundaries. Whatever you choose, you need to do it quickly. The Johnsons have movers scheduled for next month. I thought about the Johnsons, first-time buyers, probably young, probably saving for years. They had done nothing wrong except trust the wrong person. I'll handle it, I said. I want the sale voided. I want the Johnsons made whole. I want Rebecca to understand what she's done. Understood. I'll draft a notification to the title company today. You'll need to contact Rebecca yourself. I will. I left the office and drove west toward the old neighborhood. The house on Maple Street sat on a corner lot, white siding with black shutters, a magnolia tree in the front yard. I parked across the street and looked at it. I had bought the place in 2008, right after the recession, when nobody wanted real estate. It had been a foreclosure, neglected and sad. I had spent 3 years bringing it back. Rebecca had been 10 years old then. She used to sit on the porch steps while I worked, drawing pictures in a notebook. I taught her how to use a level, how to measure twice and cut once. She had been curious then, eager. I did not recognize the person who had signed that purchase agreement. I called her. She answered on the 4th ring. Dad? Her voice was bright, surprised. She did not sound guilty. I'm back, I said. Oh, I didn't know you were coming home early. Is everything okay? We need to talk. Are you free tonight? Sure. What's this about? I'll explain in person. I'll meet you at your apartment at 7. Okay? Should I be worried? That depends, I said, and ended the call. I sat in the car for another 10 minutes. The magnolia tree was blooming. I'd planted that tree myself. Rebecca's apartment was in a complex near the Old Town Center, a second-floor unit with a balcony overlooking the parking lot. I knocked at 7 exactly. She opened the door wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt. Her hair was tied back. She looked like a child. Hey, she said, stepping aside. Come in. The apartment was small but tidy. A laptop sat open on the kitchen counter next to a half-eaten salad. The living room had a couch, a coffee table, and a television mounted on the wall. She gestured toward the couch. Do you want something to drink? I have water, or I could make coffee. I'm fine. She sat down across from me, tucking her legs beneath her. She smiled. So what's going on? You sounded kind of serious on the phone. I set my phone on the coffee table between us and pulled up the email from Paul. I turned the screen toward her. Tell me about this. She leaned forward and read the subject line. Her smile faded. She sat back. Oh. Yes? She exhaled slowly. Okay, I can explain. Please do. So you know how you've been in Japan for like a month, and you're always traveling, and I never really know when you're coming back? Well, I was thinking about how you have all these properties, and you're not even using most of them, and the Maple Street house is just sitting there empty. And I thought, maybe I could help, like actually do something useful. So I reached out to a realtor, and she said the market was really good right now, and we could get a great price for it. And I thought you'd be happy because it's one less thing for you to manage. She said all of this in one breath, her words tumbling over each other. I waited. I was going to surprise you, she continued. I was going to have everything finalized, and then when you got back, I'd tell you, and you'd see that I actually handled something important on my own. I thought you'd be proud. Did you look at the deed? She blinked. What? The property deed. Did you look at it before you signed the purchase agreement? I don't think so. The realtor had all the paperwork. She just told me where to sign. And the realtor didn't ask who owned the property. I told her I was handling it for you. I said you were overseas and gave me permission. I gave you no such permission. Her face flushed. I know, but you're my dad. I thought it would be okay. The house is not in my name, Rebecca. It's owned by my company. You don't have any legal authority to sell it. She stared at me. What? Whitman Holdings LLC, that's the owner. I'm the managing member. You are not. But I thought. You didn't think, you assumed. She stood up abruptly. Okay, this is ridiculous. You're telling me I can't even help you with one simple thing? You're always saying I need to be more responsible. And then when I actually try to do something, you act like I committed a crime. You forged documents and attempted to sell property that doesn't belong to you. In legal terms, that is fraud. I didn't forge anything. I signed my name. You represented yourself as someone with the authority to execute that sale. You do not have that authority. The title company has already flagged the transaction. The sale is void. She sat back down, hard, her hands were shaking. So what happens now? The Johnsons lose the house they thought they were buying. The realtor loses her commission, and you learn a lesson about presumption. This isn't fair. Fair would have been asking permission before you acted. I wanted to help. You wanted to prove something, I said. There's a difference. She looked away. Her jaw was tight. So what are you going to do? Are you going to sue me or something? No, but you're going to fix this. How? You're going to contact the Johnsons. You're going to apologize. You're going to explain that you made a mistake. And you're going to make sure they understand that this was your error, not theirs. You can't make me do that. You're right, I can't. But if you don't, I will make sure everyone involved knows exactly what happened. The realtor, the title company, the buyers. I will document everything, and I will let the consequences unfold naturally. She crossed her arms. Why are you being like this? Because actions have consequences. Because you need to understand that you can't simply take what doesn't belong to you and justify it as goodwill. I was trying to help you. By selling my property without asking? I thought you'd be happy. Did you think about what I might want, or did you only think about what you wanted? She didn't answer. I stood. You have until Friday to contact the Johnsons. Paul will send you their information. After that, I'll handle it myself. I walked to the door. She didn't follow me. Dad. I stopped. Are you really that angry? I turned. She looked smaller than she had when I arrived. I'm not angry, I said. I'm disappointed. I left. The next 2 days were occupied with cleanup. Paul coordinated with the title company to formally void the sale. The Johnsons were informed. I called them myself and apologized. The wife cried. The husband was silent. I offered to cover their inspection costs and any other expenses they had incurred. They accepted quietly. Rebecca did not call the Johnsons. On Thursday, I received a text from her. It was short. I don't know what you want from me. I replied, accountability. She didn't respond. Friday morning, I drove back to Maple Street. The realtor's sign was still in the yard. I called the number on it. A woman answered, cheerful and professional. Hi, this is Derek Whitman. I'm calling about the property at 428 Maple Street. Oh, Mr. Whitman, yes. I've been trying to reach you. There's been some kind of mix-up with the title. There's no mix-up. The property was never for sale. My daughter had no authority to list it. There was a pause. I see. I wasn't aware. She seemed very confident. She often is. Please remove the listing immediately. Of course. I'm so sorry for the confusion. It's not your fault. I ended the call and got out of the car. The yard needed mowing. I walked up the front steps and unlocked the door. The house was empty and quiet. The floors still gleamed. The windows let in clean light. I walked through each room, checking for damage or neglect. There was none. The house was exactly as I had left it. I stood in the kitchen and thought about what Rebecca had said, that she wanted to help, that she thought I'd be proud. I wondered when she had stopped asking questions and started making assumptions. I wondered if I had taught her that. I locked the door and left. That evening, I drafted an email. I sent it to Rebecca, copying Paul. The sale has been voided. The Johnsons have been compensated for their expenses. The property remains with Whitman Holdings. Going forward, you have no access to any documents, accounts, or properties associated with my business. If you wish to be involved in my professional life, you will need to demonstrate responsibility, respect, and the ability to ask permission before acting. Until then, our relationship will remain personal, not financial. I hope you understand why this is necessary. I did not sign it, love, Dad. I signed it, Derek Whitman. She responded 2 hours later. The message was long and emotional. She accused me of being controlling, of never trusting her, of holding her to impossible standards. She said I cared more about my properties than I cared about her. She said I was punishing her for trying to be helpful. I read it twice. Then I closed the laptop. 2 weeks passed. I returned to my regular routine. I reviewed financials, scheduled maintenance on the other properties, and began preliminary negotiations on a new acquisition in North Carolina. I did not hear from Rebecca. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, she called. Dad? Her voice was different, quieter. Yes. Can we talk? Of course. I mean, in person. Can I come over? When? Tonight, if that's okay. It's okay. She arrived at 6. I opened the door, and she stepped inside without meeting my eyes. She looked tired. She sat on the couch without being asked. I've been thinking a lot, she said. I waited. I talked to Paul. He explained the whole LLC thing, how you set it up, why it's structured that way. I didn't understand any of that before. I know. And I talked to the Johnsons. I called them. I apologized. They were really nice about it, which made me feel worse. That was the right thing to do. I know. She twisted her hands in her lap. I guess I wanted to prove I could handle something big. You're always so competent, and I never feel like I measure up. So when I saw the opportunity, I just went for it. I didn't think about the details. I didn't think about asking. I just wanted to show you I could do it. You wanted to impress me? Yeah. You don't need to sell my property to impress me. She looked up. Then what do I need to do? Ask questions. Learn how things work. Show up consistently. Be honest when you don't understand something. That's all. I thought you'd think I was stupid. I've never thought you were stupid. She blinked hard. I really messed up. You did. Are we okay? I leaned forward. We will be. But you need to understand something. Trust isn't automatic. It's built through repeated actions. You tried to take a shortcut and it cost other people time, money, and peace of mind. If you want to be involved in what I do, you need to start at the beginning, not the middle. Okay. I mean it. I know. I will. I promise. I nodded. Then we're okay. She exhaled and her shoulders dropped. Thank you. You're welcome. She stayed for another hour. We talked about small things, her job, my trip to Japan, the magnolia tree that was blooming too early. When she left, she hugged me at the door. It was brief but genuine. After she was gone, I sat in the quiet house and thought about boundaries and second chances. I thought about the line between helping someone and enabling them. I thought about the difference between love and permission. The Maple Street house still stood on its corner lot, owned by Whitman Holdings LLC, managed by me. The deed was clear. The title was clean. And my daughter had learned whose name was on it. Not hers, not yet. Maybe someday.